Okay, so you probably already have this written down. Composition of transformations is where we put like more than one transformation together. For example, we'll take a shape and we'll do like a reflection and then a translation, or a translation and then a rotation. So we're going to do 2 transformations for each shape instead of just one. So when you have 2 or more transformations applied to a figure, that's the composition of transformations, and the composition of 2 or more isometries is also an isometry. I know that seems like a big word. What that word means is that the shape changes location, but it doesn't change size. So even though you are taking a shape and you're like reflecting it and then turning it, it's still the same dimensions and everything. Like the side lengths are still the same. The angles are still the same. It's just in a new location. So the pre-image is congruent to the image, meaning all the parts are the same length and the same measure. One example of a composition of transformations is called a glide reflection, and this is a translation followed by a reflection. So you glide and then reflect it. So in this image right here, like a foot is moving here, and then it's reflected over the line, and the translation vector and the line of reflection are parallel. Okay, and we're just going to jump right into it. Here it says triangle ABC has these vertices, and I graphed the vertices and made the original shape on the graph. So go ahead right now and make this shape, and I used these coordinates right here. A is 3, 3, B is 4, negative 2, and C is negative 1, negative 3, and I graphed that. So graph it if you don't have it down already. Christian, you should have your AirPod in. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is just put these original points in this chart here. So A is at 3, 3, B is at 4, negative 2, and C is at negative 1, negative 3. Okay, so there's our original. It says graph ABC and its image after translation along negative 5, 3, and a reflection in the x-axis. This order is really important. You have to do it in the order that they're telling you to, otherwise it's going to come out wrong. So make sure that you're following the order. So first we're going to do a translation. It says negative 5, 3. So the first number is the horizontal change. So we're going to move it to the left 5. So each point to the left 5. And then 3 would be vertical change. So the left 5 up 3 for each point. So for A, I'm just going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I get A prime. And same for B. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. B prime. And C. B prime. Like that. So that is the translation through graphing. You can also use the points to figure out the new points and just using like algebra. So for translation negative 5, 3, we can do the x coordinate minus 5 and the y coordinate plus 3. And I can use these original points, like plug it into this algebraic expression and find the coordinates of the new points. So I can take 3 minus 5 would be negative 2. 3 plus 3 would be 6. 4 minus 5, negative 1. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Negative 1 minus 5, negative 6. Let me get this. You could do either or, but it depends on how the question asks it, so I want you to be familiar with both. On here, it says you have to be familiar with the equation, like the algebra part. Okay, so, and then you can make sure these match to make sure you didn't make a mistake. So negative 2, 6, yep, I got A prime. Negative 1, 1, yep, and negative 6, 0, cool. So my answers match. Then the next part, it says a reflection in the x-axis or over the x-axis. So this would be the x-axis here, and then we're going to reflect each point over that axis. So B prime is 1 above, so we'll put B double prime 1 below. A right here at 6, so I'll just put it 6 units below A double prime. And then C, which is on the x-axis, will just stay there, C double prime. And then connect your dots, and there's your new shape. What do you mean? Well, we learned this like a couple days ago. It's the same thing. We're just putting each of these points the same distance from the x-axis on the other side. And then from here, we could also use the coordinates. So an x-axis reflection using the coordinate rule would be x negative y. So like x stays the same and then y changes sign. And so x stays the same and y changes sign. And 0 just stays 0 because negative 0, there's no such thing, it just stays 0. And then you can make sure that these coordinates match what we got here. Negative 6, 0, negative 2, negative 6, negative 1, negative 1. Okay, and then when you're done with that, just flip it to the next page. Oops. Okay, and for this chart, we're going to actually cross out this square to save our brain energy. Move down here. So they give us the original shape, which is nice. We're going to do a 90-degree rotation. So that'll be like one turn this way, and then a reflection over the x-axis here. Before we get into all this, I'm just going to take my original coordinates and put it in my chart here. So J is at -5, -2. D, -4, 0. L, 0, -3. Okay, some of you might be able to do the rotation just visually. If you can, you're amazing. I'm going to use the rotation rule because it's more accurate for my brain. So like a 90-degree rotation, the rule is -yx. And so I'm going to take each one of these points and put it, like change the order and stuff. So this would be +2, and then x stays the same. Right, and then once I have my points, I can graph them. G prime. That's a 90-degree rotation. That seems logical to me. That means my points are correct. And then it says to reflect it over the x-axis. So this would be the x-axis, and I just reflect each point over it. The same distance from the x-axis on the other side. So like z is 4 units down. So I'm just going to put z double prime 4 units up. J prime is 5 units down, so I put it 5 units up here. J double prime. And then L, which is on the x-axis, will just stay. So L double prime is just on that axis. Connect your dots. Yeah. So in addition to like reflecting your points visually, you could also use the rule for reflecting on the x-axis. And the rule for that is x, negative y. X stays the same and y changes sign. So x stays the same, y changes sign. And then I'll just make sure that these points match what I graphed. 2, 5, 0, 4, 3, 0. Cool. Yes. For the x-axis, why did you switch them? What do you mean switch it around? Like, I was reflecting it over the x-axis, so I reflected this over here. Okay, then up here, we're gonna continue. This graph didn't print as good, so I would just use little like marks right here so you can see where everything is. Okay. Okay, so it says to translate this shape along the vector 8, 1, so that would be to the right 8, up 1, followed by a 180-degree rotation. So first things first, I'm going to get the original points and put it into this chart. So F is at negative 5, 4. G, negative 4, 2. And Y, negative 5, 1. Okay, and then from here, translation first, and it's 8, 1, so that would be to the right 8, up 1. So for each point, I'm going to move it to the right 8, up 1. 6, 7, 8, up 1, F prime. G, I'm also using the coordinate plane, so G is at negative 4, so 4 units here, 5, 6, 7, 8, up 1, G prime. Y, 5, 6, 7, 8, up 1, Y prime. You could also use the coordinates, like 8, 1 would be x plus 8, y plus 1. So I can add this to the coordinates as well. So like negative 5 plus 8 would be 3, 4 plus 1 is 5. Negative 4 plus 8 would be 4, 2 plus 1 is 3. And then it says it's followed by a 180-degree rotation. So I'm going to rotate this shape 180 degrees and it'll land in this quadrant. I'm going to use the coordinate rule for this. For 180-degree rotation, it's negative x, negative y. So I'm going to take each one of these points and just make them the opposite sign. And then I can graph the points. Yeah. Okay. Ready for the next one, or not quite yet? Okay, so the next one, it says reflect it on the y-axis, followed by a translation. So we are going to first write down the coordinates of the original. See, S is at 4, 2. T is at 5, negative 2. J, 4, negative 3. And A is at 3, negative 1. Okay, so first things first, reflect it over the y-axis. So identify the y-axis, it's right here, and we'll reflect each point over that axis. So point A, for example, is 3 units away, so I'll put it 3 units away on the other side and label it A prime. S is 4 units away from the y-axis, so just put it 4 units away on the other side, S prime. Y is 4 units, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, is that a J? That is a J. J prime. And T is 5 units away, so I put it 5 units over here. And then connect my dots. It's supposed to be straight. So I can also use the coordinates for reflection over the y-axis. It's negative x, y. So like change the sign of the x and keep y the same. And then I'll make sure that this matches what I got. Then it says a translation along the vector 4, negative 2. So I'm going to move each one of these points to the right 4, down 2. So positive 4, negative 2. Positive 4, negative 2. S double prime right here. Oh wait, problem with writing with pen, I messed up. Okay, so left 4, down 2, A prime, double prime. So the orange one is our final like answer or shape. And the other way to do it would be using the math. So you could do x plus 4, y minus 2 to get the coordinates this way. And then also check to make sure that that's where your points fell, and we're good. The last one says a reflection over the x-axis, so we're going to reflect this shape over the x-axis here, and then followed by a reflection over the y-axis. So we're going to reflect this here, and then reflect it over here. So first thing, I'm going to grab the coordinates from the original. B is at negative 3, negative 5. G, negative 3, negative 1. T is at negative 1, negative 1. And then reflecting it over the x-axis first, I'm just going to put each point the same distance on the other side. So G prime, T prime, and B prime, and connect the dots. I could also use the math for a reflection over the x-axis. It is x negative y. So x stays the same and then y changes sign. Somebody asked me, and it was a good question, if this is negative y, why is this positive? Because it's opposite sign. So we started with a negative, so it just turns to the opposite sign. And then followed by a reflection over the y-axis. We're reflecting everything over here now. T double prime. B is 3 units away, so I put a 3 over here. B double prime. G is at 3. 1, 2, 3. G double prime. Connect your dots. And that's the visual answer, and then we can also do the coordinates over here. A reflection over the y-axis is negative x, y. So I take these and I use this rule. So positive 3, leave y alone, positive 3, leave y alone, positive 1, leave y alone. And then check and make sure everything's in the right spot. And it is. And that is all. So you can do your homework on Schoology. I would do that first while this is fresh in your head. If you have questions, let me know, and then work on your ALEKS 2 in class. And